Secretly recorded from deep inside the bowels of a decommissioned missile silo, we bring you the man, one single man who wants to bring light to the darkness and dark to the lightness. Although he's not always right, he is always certain. So now, with security protocols in place, the protesters have been forced back behind the barricades and the blast doors are now sealed. Without further delay, let me introduce you to the host of Hutcast, Mr. Tim Hutner.
Thank you, Sergeant at Arms. You can now take your post. The views and opinions expressed in this program are solely those of the individual and participants. These views and opinions expressed do not represent those of the host or the show. The opinions in this broadcast are not to replace your legal, medical, or spiritual professionals. Welcome to Hutcast. In the studio today, we have a special guest. We have a very special guest, and she is a local hero that she's going to work for the conservative values of Minnesota and try and get rid of some people who need to be getting rid of. Rachel Davis is here in the studio with Hutcast, having a conversation about our great economy, our great Minnesota. And if I believe her right, she is 27B. She's going to start getting some power to the guy who's not going to be in there pretty soon, I guess. I don't know. Let's find out. Rachel, you there?
Yes, I am.
Well, what we're going to do is we've introduced you, and I got to make some edits in that, and then I'll come back and we will just start this out.
Okay, sounds great.
Stand by. Buying a gun is no ordinary purchase. Whether you're a hunter, competitive shooter, or self-defense is your priority, there are many kinds of guns and many kinds of training programs. You use your brain all the time. You will rarely need to use your gun. Before you find yourself in a situation where you need to make a critical decision, make sure your training is the best you can get. It could be the difference between life and death, or freedom or detention. For the best quality training, check out permit2carry.us. If you live in Minnesota or Wisconsin or even Florida, give Gene German a call, 612-388-2403. That's Permit to Carry US. Or call Gene German at 612-388-2403. Welcome back to Hutcast. Rachel Davis in the studio today. She is going to talk about her ways and means of trying to make this happen to be a better place in Minnesota. Right now, we've got some pretty wild ideas, and one of the latest controversies is the Minnesota flag, which I've personally chimed in on a little bit here, and sometimes you just can't make this up, but it's common sense isn't common enough. And Rachel, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you for asking.
Now, you got an uphill battle here coming up. I mean, it's quite you got a huge thing to take unlodge a guy from seed who's been there for a long time, and sometimes you need fresh blood. Talk to me about what's going on.
Well, I noticed way back in 2016 when Trump decided he was going to run that when I got involved, I wanted to contact my local legislator, and I didn't get a return phone call. So I thought, well, our state must be hurting if my local legislator won't give me a call back. And I got involved. I became a delegate, and I noticed that, yeah, I'm kind of stuck there. I don't know.
Yeah. So when he didn't return your call, you felt that was a call to action, a call to arms, no less.
Well, that's correct. I was hoping to have a conversation to see what I could do to help out so that I could serve my community, and I couldn't even get a call back from my local legislator. So I thought the Republican Party was hurting, and I like to be helpful. So I don't know. I was pretty disappointed in Kurt at that time, and I thought, well, why not run against him then?
You know, that he probably got his attention now, no doubt.
Yeah, we had coffee a while back. I let him know that I was running against him, and it was a good conversation. He's really informed on everything, and he says all the right things. However, he doesn't do the right things. He just says the right things.
Yeah. Sometimes it's tough to beat a polished politician. But, you got to keep moving forward no matter what. So what did you find was most disturbing about his... and this ain't about him. I don't want to make this a him thing. This is a you thing. But we have to put some face to this. Let the people know what your mental currency was so that you can, hey, this is what I think we should be doing.
Well, for starters, we need to stop getting away from the Constitution and get back to it. I believe back in 2015, he blocked the Stand Your Ground laws from coming to the floor, and he promised to bring them back to the floor for a vote in 2016. However, he just sided with the moderates who were afraid of guns. And I think that him wanting to get away from the Second Amendment is a huge red flag. And I thought, I thought it was more cowardly that he wouldn't, stand by more of a conservative.
Now, is he a gun user?
He says he is.
Is he?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's got that picture of them with a rifle or a pistol or a gun or whatever. Even Waltz did that one. But I think you have some more merit in it because you are a manufacturer of ammo.
I am. I work in shot shell at Federal Cartridge off of Main Street in Anoka. And I love it there. I work a lot.
Yeah. You have 100-year anniversary was just happened, if I remember right?
Yeah. We had Ted Nugent come out. We had a big concert and a big dinner. We got to invite some people. It was really fun.
The Nuge, huh?
Yeah.
Did you meet him?
I was right next to the stage. I got to see him dance around, and it was nice.
You got to be a groupie.
Yeah. It was really fun. It was a good night. Yeah.
Yeah, I've reached out a couple times to put on Hotcast here, and he just he responded, but it was like, I think he's had enough to say what he had to say.
Yeah.
Well, I know he's a huge Second Amendment guy, and if anybody knows him and Shemaine are all about hunting, fishing, Second Amendment rights. First, they're very constitutionalists, and you're trying to get back to that grassroots feel is what I'm getting.
Yes, I think the voice of the people is lost, and I think that our politicians locally and nationally are ignoring what people are saying, and they're doing whatever they want. And I believe that we as a people can join together and kick them out and get elected and show them how it really should be in our country. Yeah, that's what I really strongly feel that way. And I think that if we can recruit enough people, that it shouldn't be that difficult. We just have to get people activated.
Right. And the left always kind of seems to get the best of us because the right is always sitting on their hands and working and being too busy to protest. They just don't do it. It's a known fact that the right they don't engage. So how do you feel about the fact that now we're behind the 8 ball as the right side or the neutral side, the right neutral, the common sense side, and we got to play catch up because they're changing our flags, they're changing our statues, they're changing a lot.
We have to start by putting a stop to all that. I believe that we bend over backward for the other side because we don't want to offend them. And why are we not wanting to offend them when it's the right thing? If you believe in God, you don't just walk around and act like you don't believe in God. You present yourself in a way that would say, hey, I have good standards, I have integrity. If I say something, I'm going to do it, I'm going to follow through. And here we have legislators in office who don't do any of those things. They would rather get along with people that they don't agree with at all. And I think that we need to put a stop to compromising. I think that we need to pull them our way and say, no, this is how it's going to be. And I don't feel that we have anybody in office. Well, maybe a few. We do have some really awesome people. But I just feel that I think that we can win more if we start saying, no, you can't have this bill. We need to go our way. And when we were in the majority, we sided more with the moderates, and then we ultimately made deals with the Democrats. And I don't think that was a good idea at all. It's gone completely the other way, and we need to be Republicans, and we need to stand our ground and get them to see it our way. And yeah.
Well, the biggest thing about politics is a combined effort between two groups, not just left, right. It could be middles, or it could be all kinds of groups, to come to a compromise to create a solution. And I do believe that a lot of people have missed that in the world, and they get jaded to one side. Now, just because there's a D next to your name, or an R, or an I for independent, doesn't mean you should pick a side and say, no matter what, if you don't have an I or a D or an R, you're not credible. And I believe that the Democratic Party has two parties. They have the Democratic Party and the Socialist Democratic Party, but I don't think a lot of them know this yet. So you, as a future budding policymaker in the state of Minnesota, are going to have to realize and recognize what and why and how you're going to be able to navigate those waters. Do you feel that's accurate?
Yeah, I do feel that if we stick with the Constitution, it opens things up for freedom. People can think the way that they want to and speak the way that they want to, and it gives freedom to both sides. That's why I think that standing firm on the Constitution and our foundation of our country is really what we need. Instead of going too far left and too far right, I think that the neutral ground would be sticking with the Constitution. Sure. and where we all started.
A lot of people feel that the Constitution is a living, breathing document to be changed and altered at its will. How do you feel about that?
I do agree that sometimes it needs to be altered a little. A
little less?
A little less. Yeah. Well, I think that everybody's voice does matter, and I think that everybody exists within the Constitution. I believe that the Constitution gives us the freedom that we need to be free. And that means that everybody can be exactly who they want to be within, certain limits, as long as they're not hurting somebody else.
Isn't that something, how the people that scream the loudest about equal and fair Constitution are the ones trying to abolish it?
Yes, that is funny.
It's a moment of,
Yes, that reminds me of the song from the 90s.
Which song?
Things that make you go,
I remember that long ago. Yeah, I'm that old. Okay. I'm going to give you, for instance, and this is not to sand trap you here. This is just a common sense that's going to happen when you're in that position. If you win that position, you have to pass a bill that you're really passionate about. You need the votes on both sides of the aisle. But yet, the people that you need the votes from are passionate about whatever their subject is, and if you don't vote their way, they're not going to vote your way, and neither one of you win. What do you do in a no-win situation?
I think that it's all about phrasing. I believe that we can always come to a compromise, and it should be more freedom. And I just think that the left side has been somewhat of a bully. And I think that if we show them how they really are, because maybe they're in denial of everything, hopefully they are.
You think they'll come to self-realization?
I hope so.
That they'll self-correct?
I'm hoping that. When I was watching the floor debates on the abortion law that they were passing.
When Scott Jensen was up on that, what's when it went on?
It was just on the floor with the legislators.
Okay.
And I noticed that a lot of the Democrats that were trying to pass these just outrageous things inside of the bill, and they were shaking. Yeah, almost like they were standing firm on what they wanted to do. However, I noticed their composure. I noticed their faces, and I noticed that they were unsure about what they were doing. And I think it starts right there. So them second-guessing what they're doing and knowing that it's wrong.
But doing it anyway.
Yeah.
So you were reading their body language.
Oh, absolutely. It's the best way to communicate is to see
Oh,
people
sure.
for what.
For sure. I do it all the time.
Yeah.
You can say one thing and in total opposite, I'm reading something different.
Yeah.
And I follow my gut every time.
Yeah, me too.
So you're going to say compromise, but there's no compromise. There's no win situation. You don't vote for their, I want to put purple hair in schools and cat litter boxes so that you can use bathrooms in public schools, and I won't support your, hey, you get the freedom to bear arms. How would you do that in the future?
Well, I think that they are trying to change what common sense is. So I think that hitting the educational centers, the children is key. That's what they're doing. So let's fight back and start there.
Would you feel that the other side is indoctrinating our children?
Oh yeah, I think it's been going on for a long time.
Yes, it has. Again, you're in like the company here, so I mean, I'm just playing devil's advocate because I have Dems, I have Rubs, I have Independents, I have Muslims, I have all kinds of people listening to the show.
Okay.
And it doesn't matter what part of the world you're in, whatever faction you're associated with, you just can't replace common sense.
Well, you would think. But they're trying to change common sense. Common sense to me and you is different than it is today. And it always changes because teenagers have a new way of thinking. So it's definitely indoctrination. And they put it in schools. They put it in media. They put it in our songs and the children's artists that listen to the music. It's everywhere. I mean, it's pretty difficult to raise a sound mind if we are constantly indoctrinating our children with nonsense.
Yes. So now you've pretty much covered a lot of what the people are going to know about you just by that little sentence right there. What's the first thing you want to change if you win? I mean, if provided you have the ability to change. Again, you're just one vote amongst many.
I believe that it would be good to go back to the grassroots and have the people's voices heard and to actually represent what they want and prove it by voting the way that they want you to vote.
Okay. But now we get back to our first conversation where if you vote this, I won't vote your help if you don't vote my help to a Dem. That's a tough one, isn't it?
No. I think that we want to make it tough. It's not. I think that we should get the House back and we become the majority and then we start changing things. Not because I don't believe in compromising, but I believe in the Constitution. And that's what our country is founded on, is the common sense back then is different from now. I think that I believe that we'd have more freedom if we just got back to that.
Big thing in the news is the flag thing. I covered that a little bit earlier. We see a flag that had originally Native Indians on it, Native Americans. They were on the flag. They had a plow. They had stuff that 1886. We were the 16th in the state to be part of the 16th in the Union. The 16 stars, or you know where I'm going with this, right?
I do, yeah.
Now we changed it for a flag-looking thing that was on, I mean, literally looks like the east coast of Africa's Somali pirate thing. And you got to think to yourself, if we got a flag that close that looks to like a Somali, who designed this flag? And why weren't we involved? Why weren't you and I involved to say, look, this should be like a mass vote thing? Not just, hey, we're going to change this because we don't like the look. Because in reality, it's a cancel culture, if you think about it.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
Well, first of all, what was it that they didn't like about the flag?
Who knows?
Because a Native American was on the horse, and it was the white man without shoes plowing the field.
Yep.
I don't know how that's offensive. As far as focusing on the flag, I think that we should be focusing on other things more.
No doubt. But that ain't our situation. Our situation is people didn't like it. And because I don't like it, we're going to change it.
Well, they have a right to not like it.
Sure.
But how we changed it and why we changed it are things that the public should have a vote on, like you
Absolutely.
said. Yes.
Absolutely should be. It should not even begin to be, we're going to change it. Without everybody is okay. I mean, it's a majority. That's the democratic process. You vote.
Yes.
And you work for us. If you're there, you work for us.
Yes.
And if we say don't change it, and all of a sudden it's being changed, that it ain't working for us. And I just have a problem with that.
Yes, so do I.
Yeah. Want to reach out a little national here? Should we go a little national?
Okay.
You're a strong supporter of the Second Amendment. You make ammunition for these things. You do. You are kind of the poster child for 2A. How do you like the fact that the FBI decided to make a law illegalizing tack braces without going through due process and going through the channels of Congress and judiciary process?
How do I feel about that?
I mean, does that make sense to you that they can just jump in and, hey, we're going to make a law and make it illegal for you to own a tack brace if you bring it to your shoulder? It would be creates a felony.
Oh my goodness. You know what? I think that all of these little laws that they're passing that make it so that we cannot exercise our Second Amendment rights it should be gone.
Yeah.
And I think that if we got more people involved and their voices got louder, that would keep them in check.
I do believe that a appellate court federal had blocked that. And they said, it was a California one at that, it says it's illegal for you to think that you can make a law without going through a process. So I believe it's on hold as of now. If this happens to have hit Minnesota, and this was a thing, and you're the policymaker now, mm-hmm. What would you tell and I hate to use the word constituents because it shows position. These are the people that voted you in. I like to say they're your employers because they literally pay for you to be there.
Yes, they do.
So constituents is different. So go ahead. What do you say about that?
Well, I think that we should just stand our ground and say, no, we're not doing this. And if it's forced upon us because of the vote here in Minnesota, then I say that we fight back and we get started right away.
Okay, let me play devil advocate. But you hurt my feelings when you did that. Now what?
Well, feelings, are a thing. However, everybody's feelings matter. And you're hurting other people's feelings by your feelings being hurt.
Doesn't matter. Mine are more important. Now what?
I don't believe your feelings are more important than mine.
So in the end result, the word is tough. These are our constitutional rights.
Yes.
By changing mine, we're allowing yours. It was a kind of conversation that was a no-win conversation, but I had to see where your head was. And you're on track. All right, let's shift some gears. You ready to next subject?
Sure.
You get X amount of money per year as a state. We have a surplus right now, and we're going to give you a $300 check. Everybody gets a $300 check, whatever that number is. The next year, you're still taxing the same. Minnesota tax is like 7.7 or 7.5%. You get tax in Hennepin County of 8.25%, which just went up. We get a disparity tax as a business. I'm a business. When can we keep our own money?
I think we should immediately. I think we should stop saying it's okay to tax us. I think tax is theft. And I believe that I would be a legislator for free. I would do it for free. Why am I getting paid to do the right thing? That's honestly how I feel. I think that we should stop. I think the taxes are a joke. I think it's ruining our country. Mm-hmm. Inflation's just off the wall. And I believe that people don't want to pay taxes. I did run into a lady, though, up in Cambridge when I was door knocking who said she loves taxes.
Really?
I just smiled at her. I mean, it was a no-win conversation because she loves taxes, but...
Yeah, as you reached over to her car and saw the Biden bumper sticker on her car, you knew where you were at.
She was a nurse, actually. But yeah.
She was what?
She was a nurse. She was a nice lady, but just to be so bold as to say I love taxes and I love being taxed.
I think she just did that to be smug.
I don't know. It was a funny conversation, but I listened to her because I think you should listen.
Yeah. But it was a short conversation.
Yeah.
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 I've door knocked. I've ran for office. I understand this process. And if you haven't run for office, it is your due right to do so. And it is so rewarding in every level. I lost twice for office, but it taught me things. And now I can talk about it. But if you don't have the audacity to come up and run for office, you don't have the right to complain about it.
I feel very strongly about that. If you're not getting involved and you complain, then you should not.
Yep, you got no right to.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, hey, I'm with you on this. I mean, I get it. So you just sit back and you go, really? These guys want to complain about this. And like, what'd you do? Well, I complained about it once on Facebook. No, that's not how you change things. So the money's kind of a big issue. And as a business myself in the state of Minnesota, because we are in a undisclosed location, by the way, in a bunker. Just remember that. And you're sworn to secrecy, by the way.
Okay.
The amount that you pay for the amount that you get just seems so wrong. And as Hennepin County, because I'm a big supporter of Hexits, leaving Hennepin County or disconnecting and going to a different county and saying, hey, look, I'm done playing the ATM here. We're done as a city playing ATM. We should be looking at other options. Instead of collecting my money, we don't have infrastructure we needed, but we're sitting on a surplus. That can't be even logically correct. You get the chance to change that, or at least vote to change it. And your voting record shows. You look at other candidates, right?
Yes, I do.
And I can only imagine your opponent, you've checked every yes or no box he's ever had.
Yeah.
For the most part, did he vote the way common sense would?
Honestly, it's easy to have big teeth and be tough when you're in the minority. When he was in the majority, he didn't vote well, and he did not fight for us. He wanted to side with the moderates, and then he made deals with the Democrats, and then he lost the majority, and he lost it 3 times in a row, and is still in. And I think that even his caucus voted against him because they thought he was a failed leader.
Yeah.
As we all do. And I think that it's time for him to go.
I think at one time his arrow was correct. His compass was on. Do you believe that?
Probably not.
No.
I think that he holds himself to an unknown standard, and he is confident in that. I don't think that he's doing a good job at all.
And we get that. That's why you're running. That's why you're here.
Yeah.
But your opponents don't want to hear you say you want to beat the other guy up. They want to know why you're doing it. And this is just a window into your political soul to say, hey, I think at one time he might have been. I don't know. I mean, you probably weren't involved at the time. But now he's not. And Minnesota needs better than that.
Yes, I agree.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I should be like your public speaker. Should I do that?
Yeah, you could be.
I'm really polished at this.
Yes, you are.
But the key here is to make sure people hear your message. Mm-hmm. What other message you want to send out to them?
I think our children are crying and nobody's listening. So we need to get people out, go into caucus February 27th, and change our state.
Okay.
For the better.
Get involved.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't want to physically get involved, if you do not have the time, if you don't want to just put your name out, put your name on a check, send it in.
Yes.
The RNC can always use funding to make stuff happen. We are totally outspent by the left. More so than any other state in this union, other than California. And we need that. Do you agree with that?
Well, my honest opinion is conservatives are church-going people. Mm-hmm. And when we go to church, we volunteer our time and energy for the Lord. So why are we not doing that for our country?
Right.
I think that even though we do not have all the money that the Democrats have coming in, that we could kick some ass.
Right.
Because naturally, that's what we do every day. We're mothers, we work, we have jobs. we spend time in the community. Why are we not voting right? Why are we not getting the right people in? I think that if we all got together, we could really do some changes and do damage to what's going on. We really need people to step up. And I think that if we just showed them how to do it, they would do it.
Lead by example is what I'm hearing.
Yes, that's very good.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you're leading by example, and you would feel that the Christian going, whether you're left or right, the Christian, the Catholics, the God-fearing people are righteous in that way.
Yes. Good works, right?
It works.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's very intuitive. It's just got to work. I mean, it's just, how can it stay broken for so long?
I don't know. To me, I'm surprised that it's as broken as it is in the state. The truth is we're not taught about government, not the right way.
Mm-hmm.
We're not taught about caucus. We're not taught how to get involved when we're a youth.
Right.
Why are we not teaching our youth how to get involved?
Because we're too busy teaching them where to go to the bathroom in a cat box in a public school.
Oh, I think I still can't believe that's true. My kids do not go to public school. I homeschool my children.
Yeah.
I just.
It's true. It's absolutely true.
Oh, well, I know that it's happening. I'm so sorry that I'm laughing at it, but it just seems like.
You're not laughing. You're laughing at absurdity.
We are human beings. What are we doing?
Because we didn't say no.
Yes.
We didn't say no as a left, as a right, and say, oh, it's okay if you pee in a box. It's not okay. I mean, if you do the LGBTQ thing, I mean, this is careful waters for you, so I get if you don't want to answer this. They have their thing, and it's none of my business what they do. I absolutely positively believe that. In retrospect, now you're in a public school where my kids or my grandkids or whoever, kids are being indoctrinated and being taught to pee in a box because you won't say no, that's not wrong. And they let this happen. Now, break that away from the LGBT, the alphabet warriors. You want to do what you do in your time, that's your business. It has nothing to do with me. My feelings don't even engage that. But when you bring it out to our kids, now you have my attention. You as a policymaker are going to sit back and go, hey, wait a minute now. My caucus, my following, my employers, the people of your wherever, you're their employers, say we shouldn't be doing this, but you don't hold the majority. You're not District 5. You're not Ilhan's, Omar's muscle crew down in Minneapolis, and they have a lot of pull for votes for people who just say, okay, you go ahead and pee in a box because we want you to be feeling better. You like that rant?
I do. I had a 2-year-old who we had a litter box. We had 2 cats. And he asked me why the cat was allowed to go to the bathroom in the house. And I explained to him that it's like being outside. And one day I caught him peeing in the litter box. And I was like, what are you doing? He's like, it's like being outside.
I don't want to go outside, right?
So I don't know why we're teaching our youth to go back to being 2 years old and with that mindset. I thought we were supposed to be improving our country and not doing this.
2 steps forward, 9 backwards.
Oh, yes.
So the 2-year-old, which didn't know any better because it's, he's 2.
Mm-hmm.
But the 18-year-old or the 15-year-old that is in school who wants to wear a furry tail, put whiskers on and walk around because it's their personal freedom, or the teacher that just is going to turn a blind eye to it. And I'll tell you, I talk to a lot of teachers in my business. We're in the car business, so we do a lot of work in the hood. And they all look at me and go, we cannot believe it, but we cannot stop it because the higher ups in the system say you turn a blind eye to it every time, and pass them without their earning it. Because for me, they deserve a grade is an entitlement statement. Deserves entitles, where earns creates character.
Yeah, I feel very strongly about merit. My love language is service. And I believe that if you love something, then you'd put some action towards it. And I feel that love is an action word. So if you love your country, then you should get off the couch and do something about it.
Podcast does a lot of service for the local communities, for the national, and we do a lot of research, and we do a lot of, it's just, we're busy with it. And if we aren't telling the truth as we see it, what is the truth? You're the truth. Yes. I physically, mentally, I see that that is my mental currency, and I want that truth out there. Even though this is a international show, it's global. Somebody somewhere in their town has this same conundrum of stupidness going on that they just got to say, whoa. And someone else's feelings is their issue. It is their issue. If you're feeling bad about it, then I guess, I'm sorry, but that's the way the world works. And no is okay. That's important when you get to your position. No is okay. Not to try to offend, and if they get offended, it's not on you. It's their feelings. And you're right, you do have to pay attention to their feelings, and that's what helps your votes, and that's what puts you back in office. But it has to be a common sense feeling, does it not?
Yes, this is why we need to go back to our Constitution, because there's more freedom if we stick with the Constitution. Everybody, both sides, will have more freedom to be who they are and what they want to be if we stick to the Constitution.
Now, taxes are a pretty big thing. So you're insane. I'm not telling where you live, but you're in Anoka County, right?
I am.
All right. So 27B, taxes up there are a whole lot different than in 32B. Down here, we're in Hennepin County, and you bring your checkbook because we have to pay for somebody who tore that South Minneapolis down. If you were in that position at that time, and you could look at Waltz right in the eye and say, hey, what would you tell him when they started tearing down South Minneapolis in the 3rd Precinct?
Why aren't you doing something about it? And you need to work quickly. I don't know why he stalled. And then I honestly can't believe they let it happen. And they were worried about people's feelings. And when I was growing up, if you insulted somebody, you could easily say, no offense, but, and then say whatever you wanted after you said that phrase, no offense, but by the way, your shoes suck. Yeah. That wasn't a big deal back then. And people just blew it off like that was normal.
Okay.
It was normal to be insulted or for people to tell the truth because we were tough. And so why are we trying to make Americans weak? I thought the whole point of life is to toughen up and become better. And it feels like they want us to get weaker and then ultimately fall as a country. And I'm completely against that. Yeah. I think that we should make our people strong and educate them on things that actually matter, which would be understanding the government and how it works so that people get involved, starting with caucus February 27th. I really feel strongly that if people knew how to get involved, that they would do the right thing.
You would hope, wouldn't you?
For the most part, I believe people have good hearts and
yes.
they mean well.
Yes.
So, yeah.
So you were in what state before you came to Minnesota?
Utah.
And what did you do there?
Before I got married at 20.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I worked at a law firm.
Okay, so in Utah, 20 years old at a law firm, working there. Mm-hmm. In what year did you come to Minnesota?
1999.
So just about the 2000 mark. All right.
Mm-hmm.
1999 to 2023 are a whole lot of different political climates.
Yeah. A lot has happened since then. We had 9/11 happen. It seems like everything kind of went downhill after that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Would you stay here or would you go back home if you knew that all this was going on? Would you go back to Utah and say, I'm not being part of this?
Not at all. I think that you should get in the fight.
So you would engage?
Oh, my goodness. How can you win anything if you run?
There you go. There's where I was going.
Oh, yeah.
So now you've gave the people a moment of, okay, she's a fighter. That's the win. That's what I wanted to go for. That's what I wanted out there. I ain't going backwards. I'm going to fight this.
Yes.
What else can we know about you? What else do you want people to know about you?
Well, I believe that the children are hurting right now. I think that, I have 5 kids. I'm a new grandmother. I became a grandmother in September.
Wow, good for you.
Yeah, and you have to think about their future and where things are going, and it doesn't look bright. So I really, really want our children to have a future in this country, and I want it to be a free country where we focus on our Constitution.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that we have too many laws,
Oh, big time.
and I think the taxes are way too high.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that we should take our foundation, which is learning to serve, because the majority of us, our foundation is going to church on Sundays, every single Sunday, and going to meetings. And we're already doing this in our personal lives. We're already going to church. We're already organizing events. Why not do that in our government and fix our government right now? We already have that in us. So getting people involved and them working as volunteers, it's already in our blood. So why aren't we getting, I believe if we just inform people, it'll fix itself.
Do you know what the demographics are in 27B?
I do.
What is it predominantly?
Lutheran? Well, Lutheran and Baptist, is that what you're referring to?
And is it red or blue?
Oh, well, red.
Okay, so you're predominantly conservatives, Reds, Republicans in your area.
Mm-hmm.
And Kurt's a Republican side.
Mm-hmm.
How are you going to persuade the people that have been Kurt people for years to say, look, it's time for a change, other than I just feel and I want? Because, I can feel and want all day too. How are you going to make it happen?
Okay, rephrase that. What do you want? I'm thinking that people are sick of the people that are in office right now, and we need new blood.
Okay.
Because the people in office right now are bending over backwards for the Democrats, and we need to
stand your ground. I got
stand
that.
our ground
Yeah.
and actually vote our way and pull people our way and let them see our side of things instead of saying, oh, yeah.
How are you going to get them, though? You're going to go out and you're going to shake hands and shake babies and steal suckers and all that stuff. How are you going to get their attention?
Well, yeah, it starts with a conversation.
Yes.
It starts with talking to your neighbors.
Yep.
Sitting at your kitchen table and saying, hey, this is what I think. How do you feel? And 9 times out of 10, you're going to agree on almost every issue.
But 9 times out of 10, when I sit with Democrats and have the same conversation, we're agreeing to the same thing.
Yes, well, they have a lot of funds and they get paid off. We need to find people that have substance, value inside their soul, and they want to do the right thing. They can't get paid off. There's plenty of them out there. They're just not getting involved because they think it's ridiculous.
Yeah, there's a lot of ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
So how do people get a hold of you? How do they fund your campaign? Do you have any of that set up yet?
Yeah, you can go to my website, rachelformnhouse.com, and I'm on Facebook. My phone number, 763-203-5373. I will answer your call, and I will talk to you, and I will meet you for coffee.
Maybe one day we should have you and Kurt in the office and in the studio and have the same conversation.
Oh, I'd love that.
Yeah?
Oh, my gosh, yeah. Kurt's you can get along with Kurt.
Yeah, Kurt's a good guy.
Yeah.
He was an old family friend of ours way back in the day, and I don't even know if he still remembers us, but I remember him.
Yeah.
But it's if we put him in the same room and we say, look, you have to understand that you're up and coming and he's there and happening. So for you to get to his, how do I put it? For you to get to his ability to know what he knows is going to take some learning curve. And you have to absorb all this, which he's already absorbed once. So time is the only factor of that, and put in the hours. I'm sure there are plenty of things that happen to other candidates that hey, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And we all say the same thing, we're pounding the same drum, but until you're there, you go, holy cow. Now, I'm no Obama supporter, by far. I'm absolute opposite of. And the only intelligent thing I've ever heard that man say was on Jay Leno. And he says to him, Jay says, well, what was so hard? And he says, I thought change would be a lot easier. And he absolutely was right. And it rang true. To this day, I won't forget it. I thought change would be easier. But it's not, because you're not the only player. That's a tough battle. How are you going to navigate that? Tough question, isn't it?
It is. I think that you have to know yourself. And you have to know that you're not going to move from that self.
Mind your compass is what I'm hearing then. Stay on course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that if you don't know what you stand for, you'll fall for anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense. That's very intuitive as well. Okay, what are we? We are 42 minutes. What a conversation today. Did you enjoy your day?
I did. You're wonderful. Thank you.
Well, is there anything else you want to launch out that you want people to know? Because, I mean, this is all about you.
You know, I think it's more all about our children. I have 5 children, and I watch them. I watch them grow, and I watch what's happening to our world and our country and our states, and I see how it changes them. And I think that we should focus on what our children, their future, and what they're going to have to experience through taxes and inflation and raising their children. And we have to start focusing on fixing everything. I just think that it's such a mess. And if we don't take that first step, we're never going to get better results. So it's taking that first step, getting off the couch.
Can't fix what you don't recognize as broken.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't recognize that broken.
Well, then we need to start talking and having a conversation.
That's right.
We need to call people and door knock.
Reach out.
Why are we not door knocking more?
Right. Reach out. Smack that door. Hey, even if they got an Obama sticker on their car, you know what? You still talk to them. I do. I did.
Yeah.
I mean, where else can you walk up to anybody in the city and say, here's a piece of paper, here's who I am? And they either want to burn your time because they want to be malicious about it, or they actually want to hear your procedure.
Yeah, it's really easy to meet people at a grocery store or a gas station. Mm-hmm. I think that a smile goes a long way.
It does. Mm-hmm. And actions go farther.
Yes.
That's a thing.
Mm-hmm.
All right. One more time. Website?
RachelforMNHouse.com.
Number?
27B.
No, I mean phone number.
Oh, phone number.
Yeah.
763-203-5373.
If you live in this area and you have questions for Rachel, you reach out. And Rachel, feel free to use this link when I get this all set up on the site to let people know, put it on your website, say, hey, look, this is who I am. This is an in-depth conversation that some guy was grilling you on. The same guy who's drilled Dr. Scott Jensen twice, and when he comes to town, he says, hey, I'll tell you, what are you doing? Let's do a show. And you know what? He's a great interview. So you've had some, now you got your feet wet in this PR thing. I'm pulling for you.
Thank you.
And the people listening to the show should be pulling for you too, because, you know, after talking to you, this makes sense to me.
I think we need a better tomorrow, and it starts by getting off the couch and going to caucus February 27th.
Rachel Davis, everybody. Let's give her a big hoo-ha and make it happen for her. If you're in the area, vote her up. And I'll launch this off for Hutcast, and we're gonna call it a day at that. We are 45 minutes into this, and thank you, Rachel, for coming in. And you sound awesome, by the way. You came through the mics wonderful.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, we're gonna call it at that. Be well, people. And that's a wrap for Hutcast. Hutcast is, again, a pragmatic approach to seeing things how some people see them. If you like our show, give us a thumbs up on the Facebook site. Again, for Hutcast, thank you again. Have a wonderful evening.